Festive football is upon us. It's a triple game week. Welcome to the Football Breakdown's Fantasy EFL Game Week 21 preview. I'm Matthew Snow.
And I'm Ian Cooper.
Yes, welcome everyone to the Football Breakdown. We're here to bring you the festive period's triple game week Fantasy EFL guide. But before we get into that, Ian, welcome. How are you doing?
Yeah, nice. And it's nice to actually see you in person today.
Yeah, so weird. We're sitting right next to each other, recording into the same mic, which is a first for us. So hopefully this is all going to sound good for everyone, sound good in your ears, and we can actually don't have to work out when each other's about to talk, so we don't talk over the top of each other for once, which is definitely nice.
Yeah, it's nice to not have the delay there, definitely. It's a shame we couldn't record it in a pub like we wanted to, but with it being festive period, it's just going to be far too busy, far too noisy. It would just make a terrible podcast, so it's better doing it this way.
Yeah, exactly. So before we kick off our preview, we'll have a quick rundown of last week. We are, peek behind the curtain here. We're actually recording this on Sunday afternoon. So there is still one more game to go in Game Week 20, which is Crawley Birmingham tomorrow night. But with it being Christmas, we're going to run out of time to be able to do this afterwards. So we're starting on a Sunday. But listen, there's so many games to cover that we're going to have a lot to talk about later on. Weekend just gone, we've actually got really similar scores. I'm just looking at both of our teams right now. I had a solid 69 points and you had a solid 70 points.
Yeah, I feel like my 70 points was okay. Yours definitely could be better. I don't want to spoil it for you, but you did have one player that sadly didn't play.
Yeah, exactly. I had Goncalo Franco did not play, and even though I was about to watch Portsmouth Coventry on Sky Sports, I didn't look at the other games lineups at the time, and then realised too late that he wasn't playing and couldn't swap him out. So I basically completed this game week one player shy. So I'm happy enough that I kind of salvaged it. Yeah, Leeds and Sheffield United did the job. They got their maximum points. Leeds on 9 for the home win to 0. Sheffield United on 11 for the away win to 0. And then Asgard, Barry, Dunn all pulled back 9 points from me. Ripley with 7, Lancaster with 4, and Mackenzie had a quiet 2.
That's a lot better than me, really, because I had a lot of quiet players. Obviously, like you said, Mackenzie got 2, Lancaster got 4. John Joe Toole got 3 points as well. Didn't really get the interceptions I was hoping for there. And with the striker, I did pick Latte Lath. Saw he wasn't in the lineup for the Plymouth Argyle game, so stuck in Tommy Conway instead, and he did nothing. And then Latte Left comes on, obviously, and scores a goal. So I should have stuck with it there. But with the teams, again, I got the 11 points for Sheffield United, and QPR turned it round and scored the 89th minute to get 7 points there. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Bearing in mind, it was across the board. Like I said, it was quite poor. I was quite annoyed with a lot of the picks. But both teams winning and Bellingham scoring 20 points on the captain, I was pretty happy with that one.
Yeah, I think we both navigated the week quite well, considering we're pretty average scores in the week. We're definitely not far off the top scorers from the week, but we aren't the top scorers. We're about 6th or 7th in the game week from our league, so we'll take it. And yeah, neither of us have any other players playing tomorrow today, so that's how our weeks are going to end. As long as some points don't change. I think you lost 1 point after full time last week, so
yes.
As long as neither of us are in that position here, we should be good going into this week coming up.
And what we're going to do for this week is to pick someone very left field, a bit like when Bryn Morris managed to get a hat-trick yesterday. No one could predict that, but we're hoping to predict that for the coming festive period. So
yeah, it's if anyone is in our league and listening, it's quite funny. There is some guy in our league who has Callum Lang in his team, and he doesn't play. Like, his team has not changed in weeks. Me and Ian always have a look. Callum Lang is his captain and picked up 58 points for him, and he's the top scorer this week. But just to talk you through his teams are now rolled over to Burton Albion because of the 5-game rule thing. He has players like Vitinho and Okonkwo in his team who don't play anymore, yet is still managing to pull back good returns. And that Callum Lang quadruple goal, on Saturday, it has literally meant that he's outscored both of us here. So, listen, we're hoping to kind of pull away from the non-players here and make sure that we're giving you some good selections to choose from.
And for the first pick of this festive period, we're going to talk about the goalkeeper from the Championship. Obviously, there's a lot of good goalkeepers in the championship to pick from. However, with the way the fixtures have gone for this game week, a lot of the big teams are actually all just playing against each other, and it makes it really, really scary. Like your regulars that you would like to go for, Alex Palmer, Michael Cooper, say, all these teams just have such a dangerous attack. It's really hard to just bank on getting clean sheets, especially when the aim is to try and get clean sheets in as many games as possible. You'd be confident we get them one clean sheet here, but to get all three, it's a tough ask, but especially a tough ask when you're playing against really top sides, home and away. So we had a few options for this week. We were looking at Vigouroux and O'Leary for Bristol City and Swansea. However, I have landed on Watford's goalkeeper, Daniel Backman. He's been selected by 0.5%. I feel that's quite high, bearing in mind they're not a fancy team in the Championship. And he averages a pretty respectable score of 4.5. He's got 5 clean sheets in 18 appearances. And they have been brilliant defensively. The big thing for this was their fixtures coming up. They faced Portsmouth, Cardiff, and QPR, which in our eyes is really, really favourable.
Yeah, so we've actually basically built a spreadsheet here for this week. We're kind of working together on the picks this week rather than going individually. And yeah, we kind of ranked everyone's fixtures, had a look, saw who had the favourable ones. Watford are definitely up there over this festive period for favourable fixtures. Listen, at home against Portsmouth, a side who have failed to score in 3 of their last 5 away games, have only one away win all season. Whilst at home, they did score 4 goals yesterday against Coventry. They aren't a side. They're just really inconsistent at the moment. Every time you think they're turning a corner, it doesn't quite work for them. So we're backing Watford to be too good for them. Again, the next game is Cardiff, who I just think are one of the worst sides in the Championship right now. I know you've got Oxford and Argyle down there, but Cardiff really are struggling to string any kind of results together. They haven't won an away game all season. They've had a few draws, but they've had 4 or 5 losses as well. So, pretty poor side. The final game is QPR. Listen, that's a tough game, but with 3 fixtures, you're not really going to get 3 bankers. And QPR have picked it up. They have won their last 3 away games. But I do kind of think that Watford are better than anyone they have beaten recently, home or away. So again, one where we kind of think it's going to be a tight game. It's the end of the festive period as well. End of the 3-game run. You're kind of thinking, the defenses are going to get a bit going to hold out. The attack's going to be a bit tired trying to break teams down. And you're kind of thinking Backman's good enough here. Watford are good enough here to look for a solid return over those 3 games.
And they definitely have a stable backline as well. They're consistently picked, which really just helps with the relationship with the keeper. I think that's one of the key things here. So yeah, no, pretty confident on a Backman to start off. Yeah.
Moving into the defence then, and Ben Cabango from Swansea is my pick here. A 1.6% selection, a 6-point average. The Welshman has started and played every single minute for Swansea this season. They're a solid outfit. They've had a few dodgy results recently. They threw away that 2-0 lead to Sunderland last weekend. But Cabango is one of the highest points scoring defenders. He's made 133 clearances, 47 tackles, 15 blocks. He has 5 clean sheets for this Swansea side. And the fixtures of QPR, Luton and Portsmouth, again, out of everyone playing, out of the 3 fixture run, that's quite favourable. QPR have been brilliant at home recently. They've drawn their last 2 away games, a 0-0 draw against Watford and a 1-1 draw against Bristol City, where they scored from basically 50 yards, where Smith rounded O'Leary, and apart from that, didn't have a single chance. So you're thinking that, that's their first game coming up. They then got Luton, who are absolutely dreadful away. In fact, I believe they're the 3rd worst away form in the league. 1 win all season away from home, just to 7 goals. And an away trip to Portsmouth. Listen, it might be worried by the 4 goals they scored yesterday, but still, they're still not quite, that finished article yet. Swansea, who are looking further up the table, are going to be looking at as winnable. Cabango, with a lot of these outfield players, one of the key things we're going to be looking for here is a player who we think is going to play pretty much every minute, or maybe not every minute, but start every game over this period. Well, Cabango, along with Darling, are a very, very solid centre-back pairing. I expect them to not rotate. I do expect them to be who Swansea call upon. And Cabango being one of the top point scorers with more favourable fixtures is the one who I'd lean to here.
And we might contradict ourselves here, but I would also look at it with QPR, Luton, and Portsmouth, how they don't have much depth in their squad. So playing 3 games in this festive period is going to be quite a struggle for them going forward, which makes it more comfortable for Cabango to deal with, really. Especially that Portsmouth game, like they have looked dangerous lately, but they rely so much on Colby Bishop and players such as that. I just think that by then they'll actually be quite tired out, and you might not see such a spirited performance against Swansea. So I'm hoping for the clean sheet there, really. And moving further up the pitch, we'll go to the midfield pick for the Championship. And I am going to put forward Jack Redoni for Coventry. Coventry have been very mixed lately, with obviously Frank Lampard going in. However, I think there's been 2 real winners, and that's Ephraim Mason-Clark, who I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, and the other one is Jack Redoni. In fairness, he's actually been really good all season. He plays solely in the 10 position, and his role really is chance creation. He's got 6 assists in 22 appearances and averages just under 2 key passes a game. So really, really positive player here. Their problems can be defensively, but they are scoring goals still. And I just think over the 3 games that they play when they've got Plymouth Argyle at home, Millwall at home, and Cardiff City away, as mentioned earlier, really poor side, even if they are playing in Wales. It's just another really positive pick where I feel like he's going to play every game and is certainly going to have a lot of chances here. These teams aren't, apart from Millwall, arguably, well, not even arguably, Millwall are good at this. They're just not very good at defending space, and playing in that number 10 position, that's exactly the pockets of space that he's going to be looking for here.
Yeah, that Plymouth Argyle game on Boxing Day, the worst away travellers in the league, concede the most goals. You're looking at that for being like this Coventry team who can score goals. They're going to be looking to open up an albeit improved Argyle side who conceded 3 goals yesterday. Millwall, new manager, well, no manager. They're kind of just going to try and set up quite rigid, but you're still kind of favouring the attacking players in Coventry to shine in that one. Redoni himself as well has played every minute so far under Frank Lampard, which we think is important going into this period. In fact, he's started most of Coventry's games this season. He started 20 out of 22. So yeah, and the other ones he's come off the bench. So he's featured in every single game. He started 20 of them. He's got 3 goals and 5 assists, 42 key passes. He is the creative outlet for them right now. So I think it's definitely a solid pick here. And rounding off our Championship picks going forward, we have Bakun Bayo for Watford, 0.3% selection, 4.6 average. Again, we've already spoken about Watford and their opposition this upcoming game week in Portsmouth, Cardiff, and then QPR. So with them having the favourable fixture list, we think it makes sense to take the striker as well. Bayo this season has 9 goals and 1 assist. Listen, you get 4 in one game against Sheffield Wednesday, which shows that he has that potential to have a really high scoring return. But he's also grabbed, quite a few other goals here and there. He doesn't really go on too big a goal drought. He's got 3 chances here to find the back of the net a few times. He's got 2 goals recently in their last home game against West Brom as well. So them having 2 home games here, you're kind of thinking the focal point of their attack, you'd expect him to be getting those chances, finding the back of the net as often as he can. He's having about 2.5 shots every game, with 1.2 of those on target. He's hitting his XG perfectly, so he's finishing chances you should expect him to finish. So Bayo in the easier game week makes sense to me.
Yeah, and so I really pushed on this pick. There was a lot of options. Arguably, you could go for the just informed strikers in 3 games, banking that they're going to score. And I feel like Bayo is one of those informed players. It's just he does have a lot of games where you feel like he does go missing. However, I'm really banking on the fact that over these 3 games, he can have 1 game where he really explodes, getting 2 goals or hopefully more. And that's where I just feel like the real reap of the reward can be. So yeah, we're going for Bayo for the forward pick.
Nice. We're going to move into League One now, starting off with a goalkeeper. And we're going over to North London, North East London, to Leyton Orient. It's Josh Keeley. Keeley is started 10 games for Leyton Orient, the last 10, and since becoming their number one goalkeeper, he's had 7 clean sheets, conceding just 6 goals. He is probably the most informed keeper in the league right now for one of the most informed defenses in the league right now. They have 3 favourable games. In fact, when tallying up their 3 opposition's league positions, it gets to a combined 62 in positions, which is the highest that anyone is playing this game week. So basically, what that means is they're playing the 3 weakest teams in terms of the table this game week, 2 of which at home. And Keeley himself, like I said, 7 clean sheets in 10 in a really, really improving defense. He's just been superb since coming in. Also, if you want that extra added threat, he did score a goal in the FA Cup against Oldham, so you never know. But yeah, just really solid option, I feel, especially with that clean sheet ratio.
And yeah, I hadn't heard of really this. Well, I definitely hadn't heard of him before this season, and I've just kind of catching on to the fact of how good his form is recently. And I think that's pretty evident, bearing in mind he is selected by 0%. We haven't saved him for the sub 0.1 big because we just feel so strong about the keeper that we want to talk him and give him his position in the League One goalkeeper pick. Now, moving into defence for League One, we are going to go for Paudie O'Connor for Lincoln. He's just a staggering 6.6 average points each week. Is phenomenal for this Lincoln side, who's been quite mixed. Although when I say they've been quite mixed, they're still 6th in the table. Bear in mind, their form is very scattergun, shall we say. They don't really get on too many runs. But with Paudie, he's a really assured centre-back. With his 20 appearances, he's had 5 clean sheets. They've only conceded 24 goals, so just over 1 goal a game, and has a staggering 160 clearances, which just gets you a phenomenal points bonus. And that's quite a consistent avenue to go down with his games. Looking at each of his games, he clocks up quite a few clearances. So then, even if he's not getting those clean sheets over those 3 games, you're going to get a nice, healthy points total just from his bonuses alone here. The 3 games are against Shrewsbury Town, Bolton Wanderers, and Rotherham United. You could look at especially the final 2 games, and they're quite big teams, aren't they? They're scary names, but they're having an even more mixed season than Lincoln at the minute. I think that's really fair to say.
Yeah, that Bolton team have really struggled. Really underwhelmed this season is probably better to say. So you're kind of thinking that a Lincoln side who a few days after traveling to Shrewsbury would then travel to Bolton, they'd probably go there with a mentality of frustrating the home side. And when Bolton get frustrated, it's very easy to do in the first place. They really, really underperform. Rotherham is sitting down in 18th in the league at the moment. So yeah, they've underperformed all season. It's not like maybe not the easiest 3 games on paper, but certainly ones where you're looking at this Lincoln side who have those playoff aspirations. They'll be looking to keep the goals conceded to a minimum here. And like you said, there's so many other ways for him to pick up bonus points. He does have 2 goals and 2 assists this season as well. He really is a threat in that opposition box. In fact, like all 3 of Lincoln's centre-backs in their system are threats, but O'Connor is definitely the standout option, we think. Our midfield pick in League One comes from Wrexham, and we are taking wingback Ryan Barnett. Again, one of those players who's playing wingback is counting as a midfielder here, similar to McLean on the other side, although McLean makes sense being a midfielder most of his career. But with Barnett, listen, you've got a player who has 8 assists and 1 goal in that Wrexham side. He's a creative outlet out wide. His crossing ability is fantastic. 38 key passes in those 20 games as well. Every appearance he's made has been a start. He's always played more than 80 minutes. And in fact, he's played the full 90 in their last 9 games. So again, when we're looking at players who are playing lots of minutes, who are going to be in the squad consistently, Ryan Barnett, one of Wrexham's key players right now, stands out. He is whipping balls in to prolific strikers. They've got a wealth of options up front to choose from and rotate with. So why not take the person who's going to be supplying the balls to them? Their fixtures, 2 at home to Blackpool and Wigan. We know Wrexham are great at home. Their 2-2 draw last week against Cambridge was a bit of a shock, but they still scored 2 goals in this with Barnett counting as a midfielder. We don't really mind too much about the ball going the other way, goals going in against them here, even though I don't think there will be many chances for that because Wrexham are so solid defensively. It won't cost us. In fact, we're looking at them going forward, Barnett going forward, picking up those interceptions from wing back as well. Blackpool have improved a bit, but Wigan have struggled away from home most of the season. Their final game is away to Barnsley. Barnsley lost 4-0 yesterday. So really, this isn't like too bad a fixture list for Wrexham, especially with them sitting so high up the table.
And yeah, the thing about Barnett, and we've said this a few times, it's such a shame that he's not down as a defender, because I'm certain if he was a defender, he wouldn't just be selected by 0.3%. I'm certain it'd be about 10%. Everyone would be cottoned onto the idea that he gets points for assists, chance creation, as well as defending. But he does average over just under 2 key passes a game. He's the top assister in the league, clear by 3. He's got 8 assists in the league, which is higher than everyone else, including like the really informed players like Poku, Edley Evans, who are both sitting on 5. This Ryan is just such a big chance creator, and it's especially over the 3 games. I just can't see another midfielder that you could put in that's so consistent in getting these assists, which basically are just as good as goals for midfielders. And I just really want to emphasise, with such a strong strike force with Wrexham, there's only really one avenue to go down. It's going to be down the right-hand side with lots of crosses into the box. And that's what we're banking on here.
He's basically set up a third of all their goals this season. They've scored 31 goals in the league and he has 8 assists. So we're looking at one every 3.5 goals is assisted by Ryan Barnett. I'm expecting to score more than 3.5 goals this break, so I'm expecting at least 1 assist from Barnett. Yeah, hopefully 2 or 3.
Yeah, and if he can add to his 1 goal this season as well, that's even better. But we're not even picking him for that reason. But that is more than likely in this scenario here. So let's just hope for that. And finally, moving to the forward pick for League One. Where else can we go when you've got 3 games in 1 game week than Jay Stansfield? Just having a look at his stats this season, well, from his record this season, he hasn't gone 3 games in a row without scoring or assisting at all. So we feel like it's just a real banker here. They play Burton at home, Blackpool at home, and Stockport away. That this Burton game is the one that I'm really focusing on. I don't want to go too big on it, but it really could be a bloodbath. Okay, they have other striking options and attacking options. They could also go and score here. But the main outlet is Stansfield. He's just such a good player for this league. And with a triple game week, how could I look anywhere else but here?
Yeah, we were actually having a conversation before we started picking players of, what we're looking for over 3 games. Is it worth just picking the best players and backing them basically 3 times? Or is it worth finding the players who might have more favourable fixtures? But there are just ones where it doesn't even matter. Like Jay Stansfield, A, the fixtures are fairly favourable, and B, he's just far too good for this league. Birmingham have the squad depth to cover these 3 games, absolutely. But Stansfield is the best player in the league, and he's going to want to play pretty much all 3 games. So I'm not too worried about the rotation here. He'll score a couple and get subbed off. Listen, his 10 goals and 2 assists have come in like just over 1,000 minutes. So every 90 minutes, he's basically scoring or assisting, and it's just ridiculous.
I really don't know if we're going to see many teams that don't have him in for this game week. It'd be interesting to see who other people go for, but yeah, my prediction is that he's selected by 4.5%, which making sure that's correct. I can generally only see that being like 14-15%.
Yeah, I do think with the percentages, you do get it a bit skewed because there's players who pick players and then stop playing the game. Like I know Alfie May is in the 20s somewhere. It's like 25% selected, and it's just there. Like, listen, if you're consistently playing this game and you have May instead of Stansfield, then I feel like it's time to get off the May train and time to get on the J train.
Now, moving into League 2, we'll go for the goalkeeper pick, and we're going to go for Matt Macy of Colchester. Only picked by 0.1%, but this goalkeeper has kept 6 clean sheets in all competitions. He's had 8 clean sheets in his 20 appearances and only conceded 22 goals. He is a man in form, and so are Colchester defensively. So we're just going to bank on this and just ride along with the form here.
Yeah, like those fixtures might sound tough, but this is a Colchester side, like we said, who haven't conceded a goal in 5 games in the league. Gillingham actually have only scored 6 goals away from home all season. Swindon are one of the poorest home sides this season. And listen, Doncaster might be a tough game, but they do have those results in them. So we're just backing the fact here that Colchester who have only conceded 7 goals at home this season, are going to keep up that trend of being really stubborn. Macy is a good keeper for League Two, so we're happy enough to say that he's the one you should pick this week.
Yeah, definitely.
Moving into defense now, and it's our highest percentage picked player in Mickey Dimitriou, who averages 8.2 points a game and is picked by 15.3% of players. And it's no wonder why, because Dimitriou is the top scorer in Fantasy EFL. In the 19 appearances he's made this season, he's been involved in 8 clean sheets. He's made 168 clearances, 28 tackles, 36 blocks. This crew side sitting 4th in the league. Listen, the clean sheet numbers talk for themselves, but they also haven't conceded more than 1 goal in a game since the end of September. They're playing really well. They've had a few draws here recently, but they're a really stubborn side. They've got Cheltenham and MK Dons away, which might sound like tougher fixtures than you'd like, but I think Crewe are too good for Cheltenham, so I feel like Cheltenham will struggle to break them down. MK Dons, it's almost that you're looking into the clearance numbers there. Dimitriou is a player who will happily pick up 10 plus clearances in a game and rack up the points that way as well. There's been plenty of games this season where he's managed to get 6, 7, 8 points in a game without a clean sheet. And then Carlisle United at home to round off the fixtures. Listen, it's 23rd in the league, who are struggling in front of goal, going up against the best defence. So that's why Dimitriou stands out this week as a must-have, even though most weeks he is a must-have anyway.
Yeah, and I think it was exactly the same for the Jay Stansfield. With 3 games on offer here, you've just got to go for one of the players that is just that outstand player this Fantasy EFL season. If you get the average points total of 8.2, you're absolutely laughing here. You're not really worried about the clean sheets. You're still expecting to at least get 1 clean sheet here in the 3 games, but the clearances, he could have 40 clearances after this game week.
Yeah, we were actually saying earlier, or I was at least proposing the point that, when you're picking a player for a triple game week, what sort of thing are we aiming for? And I was kind of raising the point that, because it's 3 games, you can't just like pick and choose. You're probably aiming for around 20, 22 points for a player return. If Dimitriou just hits his average, that's 24.6 points. So 24 or 25 points. Let's round up to 25. That's above the target I was aiming for. And that's just off his average. So anything better than his average, and it's going to be a phenomenal pick this week.
And now moving into the midfield pick, there's only one person that I can pick here, and it's Osama Ashley. He stepped up from my sub 0.1 pick to our main pick. You could still get him at your sub 0.1. He is selected by 0.1% of players now. I'd like to take some credit for that. I think people have been listening to the pod and cottoned onto the idea that he is having a fantastic run of form lately. I mean, he averages 5.9 points per game, and he's just brilliant. He's actually added a few assists to his game lately. His last 2 games, he's managed to get an assist on top of his interceptions. He's just a brilliant, brilliant player at the minute, playing for a really good Salford side who have a really favourable run of fixtures here.
Yeah, those fixtures are looking really good. Barrow at home, Barrow struggle away from home. Morecambe at home, Morecambe bottom of the league. Harrogate away, Harrogate a bit of a weird side, but Salford in the form they're in, they should beat them. Yeah, I'd just like to say, well done for someone who you've basically been banging the drum for quite a few weeks. You've always kind of wanted to get in your 0.1 pick, and we've kind of had to restrict you a few times to make the pod more interesting. And that 5.9 point average is a bit false because it takes early in the season form into play, when in 5 of his last 7 games, he's hit double figures. His average recently is probably more towards the 8-9 point range. So yeah, it's almost a must-have at this point.
The only word of warning that I can have here is I've selected him twice. One of the times I did select him, he got 2 points in that brilliant run. It stands out like a sore thumb. He averages, like you said, double figures every game week, and then the one time I pick him, he gets 2 points. However, over 3 games here, I'm pretty sure he's going to do the business.
And our final league pick for the podcast, we're kind of fitting that theme of let's take the players in form. We're taking, I'd say, the best striker right now in League 2, Nathan Lowe for Walsall. He's in 2.4% of teams. He's averaging 6.2 points. He's got 10 goals, 5 assists in 18 appearances. He's made 16 starts. So he's come off the bench twice. So you could take that down to 16 appearances. Though one of them he came on quite early for an injury. So we're looking at him being in the game now, being in that Walsall side for 17 games, and he's got 15 goal contributions. He hasn't left the team since. He's been playing the full 90 recently, expecting to feature heavily over these 3 games. Their fixtures have got Doncaster Rovers, Newport County at home, and then Notts County away. The Notts County game, we've seen them struggle against good sides, so I'm not too worried about that one. Doncaster as well, they've not been the sturdiest at the back, and Newport are an absolutely wild team who won 6-3 yesterday. Listen, if I'm taking 3 goals against Newport, I don't really care about the other end of the pitch when I'm taking a striker. Also top of the league, you're expecting Lowe's keep getting those chances to score. 22 shots on target and 19 key passes in those 18 appearances as well. Just an absolute top quality player who I'm worried that we might not be able to have the chance to pick for too much longer if Stoke do recall him in January with their issues. I'm hoping he does get to see the season out at Walsall because he is having a phenomenal time. But while he's basically guaranteed pick, I'm definitely taking him.
Yeah, and the only other thing to really add there is over 3 games, obviously, again, as mentioned in the festive period, he hasn't gone 3 games this league without scoring or assisting. So we're just hoping this pattern follows suit for the rest of the season.
Moving into our sub 0.1% picks. As always, myself and Ian are going to pick a player who's been selected by 0.1% or less of players, and we have to put them in our team. Now, we've already mentioned a couple here on the pod who are 0.1 or less, but we both have a different player to propose here. I'm going with Salford City forward Cole Stockton. Stockton's really started to pick up form recently. He's got 6 goals and 1 assist for the season. But he actually has 5 goals in his last 5 games in all competitions, including an FA Cup game. Got a double against Notts County 2 weeks ago. A week ago, he scored against Accrington yesterday late on. I was actually tempted to put him forward last week as my 0.1% pick. I gave it one more week to see how they were doing. He then goes and scores while Franco didn't even play, so that was frustrating. Their fixtures: Barrow, Morecambe, Harrogate. I kind of already mentioned this, that Barrow terrible away, Morecambe just terrible in general. Salford have really, really picked it up recently. I was also looking, well, both of us actually were looking at Salford defensively because, and not only have their results been really good going forward, they've really, really limited opposition to few chances. Carl Robinson seems to really have this Salford side nailed down right now. They're one of the most informed sides in League Two, and they're looking to climb up the table. And I want to take their striker right now. He's come back into the side. Do I think minutes could be an issue? Potentially. He's getting on a little bit, and and he has started the last 3 games, but they do have potentially other options. But he's the one scoring the goals. He's the one I want to have in my team. Those fixtures are favourable. I'm not too fussed if he's not starting all 3 games because I expect him to feature across the board and I expect him to get chances. He can score all kinds of goals, and he's one of those players who's, when he's on form, he is a top League Two striker.
And as long as he gets the goals assisted by Osama Ashley, but I'm just more than happy for him to do well and for you to get the points from this pick here. So there's nothing much more I can say about that one. So moving into my sub 0.1 pick, and I feel like I've done things properly here. I've gone for a player who has been selected by 0%. Really, really fished out this pick here. No, it's actually I feel like it's quite obvious. I think me and Matt both think similar here. I've gone for Daniel Happ. He has 7 clean sheets, and they've all come in his last 9 games. He's had 77 clearances, and along with what we mentioned earlier with Leyton Orient being brilliant defensively, I'm just really happy to get this pick in at my sub 0.1 pick.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. Basically, anything I said on Josh Keeley as a whole of Leyton Orient stands for Daniel Happ as well. They've been brilliant defensively recently. He's someone who I wrote down on the spreadsheet this morning, and I had both him and Keeley as potential 0.1% pick options. We decided to use Keeley as our goalkeeper. We let you have Happ, and I then took Stockton. So it kind of worked out really well into being able to mention all those players on the podcast. But yeah, listen, that 6.2%, that 6.2 point average, I should say, is brilliant considering he was also playing when they really weren't that good. They were struggling as a side defensively, and now they've really picked it up. And yeah, those Leyton Orient defenders and keeper are definitely ones to keep an eye on or put in your team sooner rather than later. And Happ is definitely the one we're favouring.
Yeah, no, it's definitely fair to say they struggled adjusting to League One, but now they've got into their stride. Yeah, they've been brilliant, and I'm really happy with this pick. Nice to get the 6.2 average, especially compared to the 3.9 average of Stockton. Don't want to bring that up, but just thought it was a nice point to say.
Very good. And that brings us to the end of our picks here. Ian, do you want to run me down your full team you've selected so far this week?
Yeah, sure. So I've gone for Matt Macy in go, Mickey Dimitriou. Sorry, say in go.
In go.
In go. Like, in goal, should I say.
David Ngo.
Yeah, so I've been enjoying the Christmas period far too much lately. So I've got Matt Macy in goal, Mickey Dimitriou, and Daniel Happ in defence. I've gone for a midfield 2 of Osam Ashley and Jack Redoni, and I've got 2 up front. I've gone for Bayo, and I've also gone for Jay Stansfield.
Very good. And my team currently is looking like Josh Keeley in goal, Mickey Dimitriou and Matty Pollock in defence. In midfield, I have Jack Redoni, and I currently have Darko JB as an outside dark horse shout. I have a few reasons for that personally, but if I stick with it, then do follow us on socials to hear why. And then up front, I've got Stockton and Stansfield.
So basically, if you want to follow us on socials, you'll actually find out Matt's team when he realises he wants to take out Darko JB.
Yes, but he is off the back of a 14-point week in his first ever professional goal and a lot of interceptions. So, listen, I'm just saying this Argyle revival is on its way and Darko JB is going to spearhead it up. And yes, just to follow up on that, if you do want to follow us on our socials, we're active on Bluesky at Football Breakdown, and we are also on X at FEBD Pod. Now, moving into our final part of the show, this is our team picks for the week. But as always, myself and Ian will be putting a £5 bet on our two teams' first game of the game week. And we are having a head-to-head on the returns. This is for over 18s only, and please gamble responsibly. Ian, you are currently ahead on the head-to-head. We both had a win, though, this weekend, which was nice.
It was nice, yeah.
Yours slightly bigger than mine.
I probably £26, so I'm £27 in profit.
Nice, and I basically got back to even money, so I'm not complaining too much. But yeah, at least we finally getting some wins now. So who have you selected this week then?
Well, first pick I've gone for Birmingham. I felt like it was a must, especially when they're playing Burton at home. Really, really, really poor odds, but I'm mainly looking at the points here. I'm expecting 9 points. I want the clean sheet, and I'm expecting 2 goals. And for the second pick, I've gone for Charlton. And I'm still trying to explain, reason why. I think I've just been influenced quite heavily of their results lately. They've been quite good defensively, and they do have quite favourable fixtures, with their first game being Cambridge at home, and then they play Wickham at home. Okay, tricky sides. I'm just hoping not even for a miracle. I don't think it's that strong, but I'm just hoping that they can do a defensive job. And as I said before, Wickham have 2 away games in a row, so I feel like it's going to be a lot of travel there, so hopefully they can catch them out. And then the final game is Crawley away, which I'm hoping for a solid result there as well.
Yeah, very good. My two sides, the double of Salford and Leyton Orient to win against Barrow and Crawley Town respectively, is £18.73. We've spoken a lot about Salford and Leyton Orient on the pod. Though, like, looking at the 3 games they've both got, Salford, Barrow at home, Morecambe at home, and Harrogate away. Barrow travelled terribly. Morecambe just bottom of the league. Harrogate, such a weird side. This Salford side should be too good for all 3 of those sides. I'm genuinely looking here for all 3 to be victories. Leyton Orient, meanwhile, have Crawley Town first up. It could be a tough game where Crawley just are quite attacking, but this Orient side have really limited chances to opposition teams recently. They should be able to deal with Crawley as well. And then next up for them is Cambridge at home. Again, Cambridge are struggling away from home. I know they managed to get a good 2-2 draw against Wrexham last week, and they have kind of turned their form around a bit. But again, this is going to a side who don't give you many chances. I think they're going to struggle. And then they round off the period with an away trip to Bristol Rovers. I'm kind of thinking, if Orient can get those 2 wins at home, they go to a away game against Rovers where they're going to limit them to chances. Rovers don't even have a manager right now. With that game, despite it being 3 games away, it is only from time of recording about 10 days away. are they going to get a manager in between now and then? There's not really much time of training between now and then because it's basically fixtures galore. So yeah, they're going to travel to a Rover side that kind of don't really know what direction they're going in. They should be able to take advantage of them. They should be able to win that one. So again, I'm looking for 6 wins out of 6 here. And in the bet, I'll just be happy with the first wins each.
Yeah, I should say it looks pretty favourable for you to win that first bet. That £18 would definitely put you back in profit heavily.
Yeah.
And I should mention, so I don't think I mentioned earlier that my bet returns me £10, so it would add to the £26 in profit. So, yep, hopeful there.
Yeah, a little look behind the curtain as well. This is the first week we actually knew who each other were picking because we are next to each other. And I had basically already picked Salford and Leyton Orient, which I'm not saying influence you not to pick them, but definitely certain, like, for just for interest, I don't know if it did, then I do apologize, Ian. I've kind of stolen 2 of your picks, but hey, just to have a little peek with what it's been like this week, But yeah, that basically brings us to the end of the show. Hope you enjoyed. It's been nice actually being able to work through this together for once, rather than just doing it completely split. So at least we've had some good contributions. I hope some of our players help some of your teams out as well if you're struggling who to pick over this festive period. Listen, there's a lot of football, so there's plenty and plenty of options to choose from. But all that's left to say really is Merry Christmas, everyone. Enjoy the holidays, enjoy the football. Thank you very much, Ian,
Thank you very much, Matthew.
and take it easy.